of being broken, shattered and hitting rock bottom. Well, if you can relate, then Sbu Ngubane's latest offering that's titled Yesterday I Cried is a perfect pick-me-up book for you. In this read, Sbu takes us on a journey of reclaiming control of hopefulness and our own inner peace through spiritual, logical and emotional catharsis. Sbu joins us now from our Durban studio. Mr. Ngubane, thank you very much for joining us. And maybe just for the benefit of our viewers, a brief outline of Yesterday I Cried.
No, thank you very much. Look, this is a book that really seeks to take, as you have said, the reader on a journey from hopelessness to a place of refreshing springs. The book really provides, it's a couple of chapters that firstly talks about, you know, the bigger picture, and then it takes you on a journey. It has a whole lot of perspective altering antidotes, you know, and there's a chapter, for instance, that say, you know, the bigger picture, can these bones live? You know, forgetting the former things, and it completes with a chapter that talks about praise. So it's really a book that takes, it's a journey, a reader on a journey from hopelessness to a valley of refreshing springs that are abundant with hope.
Okay, I'm going to unpack that a little bit later through the topic of spirituality, psychology, logic and emotion. But talk to me about your own personal experience of hitting rock bottom, of being broken, of feeling shattered.
No, thank you very much. Look, I've had my own fair of shame, just like everybody else. And I think the one that really hit me the most is the one that I was really struggling, you know, with my health, among other things, having been attacked. In fact, the interesting thing is that when I wrote this book on a you know, a point of view of when I was in a moment of despair and dismay. And in fact, I was actually, the interesting thing is that I was actually abroad, I was outside the country. And, you know, went on a business trip. And then I happened to be severely ill, and I'd been ill for quite some time. And in that moment, I then decided that, look, I can either succumb to depression that was already haunting me then, or, you know, turn around my perspective, because I've come really to appreciate that perspective is everything. That's why you find that two people can go through the same experience, but react differently simply because of the perspective. And because of that, I then chose that, look, I'm not going to surrender to, you know, the sickness and the depression that actually comes with it, and I'm going to fight on. And I think that was a turning point for me, because that was a point when I then began writing Yesterday I Cried, which really is just about inspiring others who may have gone through, you know, same experience. Either, you know, some people are going through in this very moment financial difficulties or, you know, relationship breakdown, that through reading this book, they may actually be inspired, and they may move from a place of despondency to a place where they are actually, you know, very much confident of a bright future.
Talk to me about those points, the issues around spirituality, psychology, logic and emotions as part of the catharsis, because you know what, many people may argue that spiritually I'm not strong. The psychology is something that I can't completely define. The logic sometimes escapes change, and emotions could be the biggest burden in trying to find peace.
Look, I think maybe let me just start by saying that the premise of the book is it seeks to address matters from a biblical perspective, simply because that this is where, you know, we tend to draw our strength. That's why we're raised up knowing that, you know, when things are not going okay in our lives, prayer becomes that foundation that actually propels us forward. Now, it then begins to firstly have that spiritual part of it, because it says that you've got, for you to be, you know, fully, you know, have a positive disposition of life, you really need to have a good spiritual basis. And then it begins also to speak about, and some of the truths that are there, biblical truths, such as that everything that we go through in life, it is actually divinely connected. And there's a scripture, for instance, that all things work together for good to them that love God. And therefore, and it begins to say that everything that we go through, it becomes a setup, a divine setup. So we are able to interpret and look at things not so much just from, you know, a point of view of at face value what we see, but we begin to see the spiritual part of it. But the psychological part part of it comes in because it then begins to tell. There are things, for instance, there's a chapter, for instance, that talks about, letting go of the former things, in that we tend to preoccupy ourselves a lot with the past, and we tend to spend a lot of time mourning over things whose season has come to an end. And the book begins to give you the antidotes and nuggets to actually to let go of the past and begin to look forward to the future. Simply because, I always say, now, one of the points that I make in the book, that, for instance, of all people that you get to meet, you find that you get people that are, no matter how good they are, there are people that are 100 times better than the one you have met. So it begins to take you first from the spiritual, but the psychological part, in that helping you, giving you perspectives to move on with life and to look forward to a brighter future.
Echo that bright future. That's author, speaker, and teacher of the word, Sbu Ngubane, talking to us about his latest offering titled Yesterday I Cried, a read that will take you from the valley of tears to a place of refreshing springs. We'll take an ad break. Don't go anywhere.